Are there some of those special features, cool features that are kind of easy adds? If somebody wants to try to build a cost-effective pool, we'll say they
Yeah.
want something nice, but they don't want to spend just the max amount of money. What are some kind of easy kind of value add items that add a lot of visual impact that may not cost a lot that people can add?
I mean, I think fire features are a critical thing. If as long as you're not getting some specialized handmade bold from, the Europe somewhere, right? You can get something done relatively inexpensively. If you have an architect or a designer that's creative and is looking for solutions to solve that problem, to not only have a cool product, but to not invest the entire budget in that one thing. Water features are important. You don't have to do an 8 foot tall wall though. You could do a 12 to 14 or 24-inch wall. Those are things that can be really easily done. And then if you pick the right materials, it's not a tremendous budget breaker. I think colored lighting is important. There's a lot of designs nowadays that have, recessed lighting under the steps or recessed lighting under the coping. There's a lot of different ways to use lighting because think about it. Most of the time when you're in the space, with the exception of maybe Saturday or Sunday afternoon, you're going to be at home in the evening and you need to extend that usability time well into the nighttime,
Yeah,
right?
and LED lighting has been a big game changer because it used to be in the pools. You had the big old
Yeah.
bulbs at each end that are like a foot a
Yeah.
foot
12
around,
inches wide. Yeah.
right? But now the LED lights, there's so much that you can do with them, and they're not expensive.
They're not as expensive as the other ones, but we'll do like in an average pool, we'll do 4 to 6 of them, right? And then it gives you a completely different lighting dynamic. They change better, they're more efficient, and it's just a better. They're safer. They're 12-volt versus 120.
Longer lasting generally.
If done correctly.
Yeah, if done correct. Yeah, electrical and pool situations is always one of those things that
Yeah.
you see problems creep in when something's not installed properly. Water seeps in and it's toast.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes on those lights fixtures, is they run a little warm. So if the plaster company doesn't install them correctly and then do the plaster around the light fixture correctly, they'll prematurely fail. And then some of them, because they're newly, when you think about all the LED lighting and a lot of the new technology that's hitting our market, there's always going to be some of the products that fail because they're still testing the products as they're being introduced. So we'll do that. We'll try something new on a few projects to see how it works. And then if we have a lot of failures, then we may not use that product again. And a lot of times I'll try stuff at my house, just because I want to see how it's going to work before I sell it to a homeowner. Because the last thing you want to do is have a homeowner upset because what you told them wasn't true because you're working off somebody else's word from a manufacturer's rep.
Along the lines of technology, there's a lot of automated pool control systems now, that you can do from your phone or from a remote control device. What are your thoughts on that versus kind of traditional mechanical pool controls as far as like what's that cost delta between just
Yeah.
kind of the basic turn the pool on and off, turn the lights on and off, and then kind of the full automation controls, and what are the pros and cons of those?
Well, the mechanical's bulletproof. If you're going to have a vessel or a pool that just basically is a pool with no jacuzzi or anything like that, I mean, it's really hard to not just do the mechanical timer, right? They're extremely inexpensive. They work well. They don't fail. It's bulletproof, right? Now, when it comes to maybe convenience, they may not be the best. You may have to adjust them for the sun and shade with regards to the daylight savings time and things like that. But we honestly don't do any installations without some sort of an automated system, simply because the price for the simple systems have come down so much, and it's just so convenient to have everything on your phone. We do very few pools without jacuzzis or without spas, so when you start adding different levels of valves and controls and pumps, it really gets out of the realm of the mechanical timers pretty quick. So almost every project we do has some sort of a computer automation on it. There's simple systems that have 3 to 4 controllers that you would need to use, and then there's really really in-depth systems that can go 18 to 24 systems. It really just depends on how you want to expand the control. The phone systems, in my opinion, are by far the best. They're the most convenient. Everybody knows how to use them. Children can use them. Old people can use them. Everybody can use them, right? It's real simple. Instead of having a wired remote in your house that is going to age and is going to not look good in 3 to 5 years, and it's going to be difficult to replace. Many times I just will put together an iPad mini for a homeowner, have all the music apps and everything they want on that one little piece of equipment, and from that thing they can do everything. You can control your amp, you can control your lighting, you can control your pool, you can turn the jacuzzi on. I love the fact that you can go to dinner with your wife. You can sit there at dinner. You're having dessert. You turn the jacuzzi on while you're at the restaurant. When you get home, it's warm, and you just have a nice, evening. Right? It's just a nice place of retreat. So
yeah, you're not waiting 2 hours for it to warm up all the way once you get home.
Exactly, and it's convenient, and the kids can do it without you having to do everything. And the lighting is simple. You can change the lighting very easily if you want a red pool or a blue pool or green pool, whatever. It allows you to have a lot of flexibility, and it's simple, and it's enjoyable for the guests if you want to show off. A lot of times homeowners want to be able to show, all their new little gimmicks, but it works really well. You can do the landscape lighting. You can do the outdoor lighting, like for the shade structure or the covered patio. It's just a much better, more cohesive unit to use.
Are there any of these things that people ask you for and you're like, that's a terrible idea, don't do that, or it's a fad, I don't recommend it?
Well,
are there any things that you try to steer people away from?
So I'm practical first and foremost. So, I like to build stuff that's going to last. I like to build stuff that's not going to have a lot of maintenance. Fountain features, if they're integrated with the pool, it's a no-brainer. It's easy. You can keep the chemistry of the water set because you're working with the large vessel of water. Remote water features that you may do in the landscaping here and there, those can be a lot more problematic. I try to steer away from those unless we have a feature that's large enough that we can use pool equipment on. They make a little filter that looks like a little basketball. It's about that size, and if we can run that type of equipment and run it like a small fountain, it's a successful event. But if you're trying to use pond filters and pond pumps and things like that, Home Depot items, you're just looking for something that you're going to have to replace in 2 to 4 years. Lighting is critical to the project. I think that it's one of the most important things one can do for the project. But I think it's important that you spend the right amount of money and get the good quality lighting. Again, not to roll down the big box stores, but the stuff that you're going to find there or the stuff that you're going to find on Amazon, unless you know what you're looking for, you're actually going to be buying yourself something that's going to cause you more pain and cause you more maintenance and more trouble. So it's critical that you kind of think that through. When you get back to the beginning of the planning stages of all that needs to be figured out. The different lighting fixtures require certain, wattage requirements, and there are certain lengths of wire that you can do before you have a declination of where the wire voltage starts to drop off. So it's important that you plan all that stuff out. Swim jets are a really good thing if you use them. I think that there's a lot of families that we'll have a lot of swimmers that really want to use their pool year round, right? So swim jets, if you use them, they're a wonderful thing. But if you're really putting them in as a gimmick and you're not really going to use them, it's a pretty expensive investment. And like with all things, if you don't use the equipment, then it's going to fail.
Yeah.
All this stuff needs to be used on a regular basis.
What does a swim jet roughly add to the cost of a typical pool?
And they're between $6,000 and $8,000, and you can get them up to like $12,000. And it depends on what you want to do. There's really simple ones that you can do where we just oversized plumbing and oversized pumps, and it's kind of an off and on scenario. But you can get different types of systems that have adjustable pressure. You can have there's even a system that's got enough volume that you can kayak in it. There's a lot of different variations. It really depends. We can build anything that a homeowner would want as long as they know what they want, right? So it's critical that they take time in the process in the beginning to figure out what their goals are, what they want to do, what's their hierarchy of needs, and then give us that list, because you'd be surprised what we can fit in the small area.